So if you don't know, I made a video a few days ago at this point about Sky Williams because he got himself into some drama. There was a lot of accusations made about the living conditions and the behavior issues at his houses that he was basically renting out to a bunch of the Smash community, and the actions that he took against people, basically bullying them like a mob boss into paying him money or else he would destroy their property over very small things like, people coming to the house without his permission. And he's gotten himself into some trouble, and it's been pretty bad. I mean, the things that have been accused against him are definitely just scummy, to say the least. And as someone who has known Sky Williams for years, like not personally, but on the internet at least, it's definitely been pretty crazy to see how this whole thing is broken down, because let me explain to you how I really know Sky Williams, okay? I only know Sky Williams as well as his tweets. Basically what Sky would do is he would go on Twitter and he would do this holier-than-thou thing where he would basically, he'd go into other creators' mentions if they had messed up and done something, and he would put out this big message to, make it look like he just knew what was right, and he was so good, and he did all these great things. He was almost like a virtue signaler, in a way, because this guy for years on Twitter made it out like he was just this this moral figure, I guess, right? Just the, pinnacle of morality. He knew what was best, he knew what was right, but then, all these different stories come out from so many different people, talking about how he owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to people. He potentially lied about his father having cancer. He was basically a bully to the people he lived with, and all kinds of other crazy things. I mean, at this point, it's all piling on top, People are just coming out and just throwing in stories, and it just seems like everything getting thrown in is just another piece of the puzzle, right? And there's a 400-piece puzzle in front of you, I guess. So, but with all that being said, I do know that a lot of you, over 50% of you, have not yet subscribed to the channel that are watching this video. Make sure you do so. I put out 4 videos a day at this point. There's plenty of entertainment for you. And if you do enjoy the video, of course, to leave a like, and, of course, let me know what you think about all this down below. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So, like I said, Sky Williams, some accusations came out about him a few days ago. I covered that in a separate video. He was trending on Twitter. There was a lot being said about the whole situation. But there's been a lot more that's been brought out that I think is very worthy of being covered, because this is just absolutely insane, man. It's rare that you see a fall from grace like this to this point, you know what I'm saying? So, Super Smash Bros. Content creator and tournament organizer Sky Williams is under fire for allegedly lying about his father's cancer and apparently owes the community over $350,000. The disgraced content creator has already had a slew of accusations over incidents that are said to have occurred at the, quote, Sky Mansion, including multiple Smash personalities. Now he's being accused of lying about his father's cancer, too. In a massive twitlonger, Spencer Samuelson claimed that Williams not only owes him $55,000, but obtained the cash in a nefarious way. Leslie and I are safe. My keyboard had water poured all over it, no longer works properly, which makes this statement much harder to do, but beside that, it seemed like my personal belongings are also safe. This is my statement. Sky and I go way back to the Brawl days. I've known him since 2008. I left the Smash scene and didn't talk to him very much at all after my departure, but I still had fond memories of him going to Smash tournaments together and whatnot. We barely talked up until 2017 when he messaged me out of the blue saying that he's in serious debt to the IRS. He told me that he would go to prison and his career would be over unless he received a significant amount of money. After several back and forth messages, I eventually agreed to lend him $55,000. Instead of taking the money I lent him to pay off the debt, he decided to use it to rent out the infamous Sky Mansion. That place only exists because I funded it not knowing the kind of person that he had become. We had an agreement that he would pay me back $1,000 a month after an initial 3-month grace period. This was so that he could get himself organized to make content again. It turned out to be the biggest mistake that I've ever made in my life. Nobody has called me an idiot or a moron more than myself for the mess that I got into. It was a terrible investment, and I don't consider myself a victim for lending him the money, but it was a mistake that I made and have to live with. To this day, he hasn't paid me back a single penny. If you think that's bad, keep reading. It's about to get much worse. Back in the Brawl days, I would often house Sky and other Northern California Smashers for tournaments. My mother and Sky ended up having a really great relationship, and of course that made me like him even more. During this time, my mom was battling breast cancer and eventually died in 2016 after battling the illness for nearly a decade. Sky was very aware of my mother's condition and knew I came from a family blessed with financial privilege. When he messaged me asking for money, he told me the reason he went broke is because he spent all of his money helping his dad pay for his cancer treatment. This, of course, struck an emotional chord with me because I have personally sacrificed lots of my own time and even money helping my mother during her time of sickness. Here's the worst part I don't think I won't ever get over. His dad never had cancer. I repeat, he made up the story about his dad having it as a way to manipulate someone he calls a good friend into giving him money. The excuse he has told me is that that his dad lied to him about having cancer, and instead of using the money on cosmetic surgery for his penis, I'm not joking, this is the excuse he's used several times. I know it's hilarious, but it makes it harder to take my situation seriously when he turns it into a joke like that. I can confirm everything Melissa has said about the Sky Mansion when it comes to social hierarchy. I spoke out against Sky several times about many of the problematic situations that arose while at the house. These problems include the power dynamic, favoritism, manipulation, alcoholism, and the shady ways he was making money to pay for the rent. He would very often ask people for money, and there is at least one other person who I won't name that Sky owes even more money to than me. Every time that I confronted him, it has only made my living situation there worse. He never allowed guests to know how this mansion came to be, and instead would take full credit, sometimes even as I was standing right there in front of him. Instead of paying me back, he would treat the roommates to free dinners, free video games, and even free trips to Vegas, which would included him buying a couple roommates prostitutes and hotel rooms. He literally took my money and gambled it at Vegas in a local casino. I was horrified by what I was witnessing. This is a friend that I trusted, one who laid out a bogus plan to pay me back, which seemed like a guarantee. He has told me that I'm a walking reminder of his guilt and subtly threatened to kick me out on several occasions. Keep in mind, I'm the main reason why the mansion exists. He made almost no content during the entire time he lived there and would still find ways to blame the struggle on me and other housemates that lived with him at the time. He would do this despite all the obvious help and support that he had been receiving from everybody at the house. We all wanted to see him succeed. So, I mean, all of these kinds of accusations are absolutely insane, right? Like, imagine the possibility of even faking that your parent has cancer. I mean, I can't even explain how low of a human being you really would have to be to do something like that. We're talking about something that kills so many people so terribly, right? And it just, there's no way to really cure it or anything. And this guy is potentially out here using something that his apparently really good friend's mother passed away from, who he apparently had a good relationship with. He might have been using a situation like that to lie and get money out of people so that he could create this power dynamic over others. It is absolutely shameful. You know, it's disgusting. Now, apparently, Sky owes over $350,000 to other people, and a couple other big names have come out and said that the debt is around $360,000 from who they could confirm through however they did. Now, Sky Williams did end up addressing all of this, which, I mean, you can take this as you will. I'll go ahead and just put the tweets up for you to see. The pain that I've caused my creditors was always something weighing heavy on my mind. When I ended the Sky House months ago, I screamed for 67 days and began paying people back slowly. I was making an effort. It was slower than I wanted, but I was bridging the gap. The repercussions of my actions are not lost. I'm in debt to creditors, both in personal relationships and the IRS, as you can imagine. I've got no credit, no savings. This isn't for you to pity me at all. It's to express that I'm certainly not living well and I deserve that in full. Now, I think that these tweets are a little bit manipulative, if we're being honest, because, you know, wow, okay. Not sure if you just heard that thunder, but he makes it out as if, like, you know, these were investments that were being made in order, I guess, to make this house a possibility, when, as we just read that twit longer, he basically had duped this guy into believing that his father had cancer and that he needed money to kind of treat that, and that he was in all kinds of different financial situations that needed to be immediately addressed. He would go to prison and a bunch of other crazy things. So his story wasn't really straight from the jump, you know what I'm saying? And then now he's trying to make it out as if these were like legitimate business decisions. Oh, my creditors, the pain that I caused them was something weighing heavy when I ended the Sky House that they invested into. No, dude, you told people that there was all kinds of other problems going on. They're not creditors, they're people who gave you money thinking that there was a legitimate situation going on that had to be addressed. You basically told this dude that you were going to go to prison. You basically put your freedom in your life in this guy's hands. I need money, please help me out. It wasn't some, oh, hey, I got this idea of starting a house, a content creator house. You want to put some money in on it? Like, it's already manipulative because he's trying to spin the narrative a little bit here. He's already lying about what happened here. And then, of course, he brings up the fact, oh, I have no credit, I have no savings. Don't pity me, I deserve this. No, dude, nobody should be pitying you in the first place, so you don't really need to bring that up because you're pretty much the aggressor in this whole situation. And then on top of that, right, the fact that you have no savings and no credit doesn't matter, you know? I mean, you owe people debt. You having savings doesn't matter. Of course, you don't have money, but I mean, you did all this to yourself. You don't need to make that part public, but I mean, of course, you do make that part public, and anyone who defends you, they might pitch in a couple bucks, right? Now, apparently, he'll be posting a big Google Doc addressing a bunch of all this stuff, all the allegations and whatnot, He said it's taken a long time because it's not a document about defending himself, it's about the truth, which I personally don't believe. I don't believe that he'll be telling the truth because everything that has been kind of brought out in this situation so far indicates that he's been lying and manipulating about pretty much every situation that he's been in. He tries to act like he knows about all these repercussions of his actions, but he basically scammed a bunch of people and is now hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, not only to the feds, but to people in his personal life. And there's a rumor going around that he got a cosmetic penis surgery. I don't know what for, but I mean, if that's true, then he deserves everything that happened to him to begin with, but he deserves everything that happened to him if that's the case. But yeah, I don't believe he's going to be coming out with any truth. I don't think he's coming out with a tell-all about all this that's going to just, fix this problem. I think if anything, he's going to come out and tell a bunch of lies, and he's going to manipulate people, and he's going to make it out like he didn't really do anything wrong. Oh, I had this going on and whatnot. I don't believe pretty much anything he says at this point, considering this. Now, if this was an allegation from one person, maybe it would make more sense, but we're talking about so many people at this point coming out and saying this. And it's not like Sky Williams is one of these people that everyone's just going to jump on board to hate on out of nowhere, right? Like, the dude, honestly, was kind of irrelevant for a long time, other than the fact that, I literally only knew that he existed because he would morally grandstand on Twitter all the time and act like he was such a nice person. And I think that that's weird, right? Because, the people who do that, I think a lot of the times are the ones with biggest skeletons in their closets, right? Real nice on Twitter, but, they're bullying people and creating social hierarchies at their house and threatening their property and their livelihoods over their heads and whatnot, right? So, just consider that, right? Because he's such a nice guy that all that went on. So, him being in debt to the IRS is pretty serious though, right? Yo money to the IRS, that's a problem. That's all I'm going to say. And the fact that he owes over $350,000 in personal relationships, I don't know how much he owes to the IRS, but I would imagine that he probably owes a pretty good chunk. And I don't see a way for him to get out of any of it because, his career is pretty much over at this point. I don't think anyone thinks of him as a credible human being at this point. After literally everything that's been exposed, I don't think that he's going to be making a comeback on Twitch and YouTube and whatnot, folks. I don't think he's going to come back to the world of streaming and YouTube. So, I'll be waiting, I guess, for this Google Doc to judge for myself. Maybe, of course, I am bringing out an assumption or whatever. But I'll be waiting for it, and I'll tell you guys what I think about that when it comes. But if it never comes, I wouldn't be totally surprised. But imagine that you lie about your father having cancer. You lie about you're basically going to get arrested and go to prison. You need all this money. You indebt yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars to the federal government and to several other people in your personal life who you basically consider friends. And it turns out that it was all for naught. It was all a bunch of lies, and he basically just used that money to fund a house that, in reality, turned a lot of people's lives very negatively. So I just think that that's all worth considering in this situation. And a lot has come out. A lot is there for people to unpack and whatnot. But I'll be doing my part as well. I'll be making a video when this Google Doc comes out to address it or whatever, and we'll see what happens with that. But with all this being said, though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, not being Sky Williams, that's for sure, and signing out.